Weird science
is the revolution.
Luke Cage, Gang War number 3. I actually was shocked. I'm like, oh my, we've had 3 of these already? I didn't even realize by this point, but we have. It's just that not much has happened. It's written by Rodney Barnes, art by Ramon F. Box, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus, VC's Travis Lanham. On letters, I'll say every time, I think Rodney Barnes is a really good writer. I like Rodney Barnes. Maybe he's just like, they're not giving me much here. I'll just throw some stuff out, because the big play that we joked about before was we pretty much had Steel, and we mean Shaquille O'Neal Steel, with this new custom. That gets tossed away to then get crazier. And this gets to, by the end, like, are you just trying to just be goofy and have fun? Because if you're going to like this, you're going to like it because it's goofy fun. If you're not going to like it, it is cliched, nonsensical superhero comic book that really, you don't need to read this. This one feels so much. Every time I read it, I'm like, why would anybody buy this? If you're a Luke Cage fan, sure, you can get some fun, but this is like, the idea of doesn't matter. Holy moly. And it should, because Luke is the mayor. We have the Fisk's Law, which again, even in an event that kind of deals with that, has been pushed aside in every other book. You know what I mean? Like, they're in the Miles book that we just did. Nobody's sitting there thinking, oh my God, we better not go out. They even have the cape slap, but they're just going around and they're fighting custom villains, and they're going against other custom. Like, nobody bats an eye. You have the Amazing Spider-Man, nobody's batting an eye. And in this, all of a sudden, it becomes the deal, like out of the blue, the most ridiculous time to bring it up when Luke is fighting. But get into this, because you start out, you even have like Alistair Smythe ended up blowing up his high-rise apartment like George Jefferson. And everybody got out. The thing, we didn't even know that Smythe got out, but now he's in Rochester. Now he's just hanging. He's in like an old rundown shack. He's got all of his gizmos and gadgets. And we did see at the end of last issue that these giant sentinels that were kind of developed in the same way, but to be against
Spider Slayers.
You have all these Spider Slayer stuff going on because it's Alistair Smythe. And he's trying to explain but you never really get enough here. If you don't know who Alistair Smythe is or the Spider Slayers, you're not going to really get it from this recap that he's giving you. He's like, hey, my dad, he's against those spiders. And that's why we made these. It's just trying to explain why he would be having these sentinels. But then he also has robots. But
Alistair Smythe would have more money than Elon Musk. I mean, this guy, and there are like 25 of these giant ones, and then an unlimited amount of the small ones.
Yeah, tons. And remember, the small ones, you say, we saw those last issue that the floor opened up. Those probably just got destroyed because of that big explosion. So this guy's just burning money. But he has these big giant sentinels, and you see it where it crashes in. And of course, you get Luke yelling "Sweet Christmas," and this thing is grabbing Luke. And then he says, "Put me down." And for some reason, the thing agrees. And then he says, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that."
Throws him down.
Then when the thing's going to stomp on him, he yells, "Get up, Cage." And I'm like, okay, he's doing all this stuff. He's rolling. And then he's yelling through these sentinels at Smythe. But that doesn't really play out much of anything. And then he goes to attack, and he's going to rip this thing apart, get shocked, falls, Cloak catches him. And at that point, we're only a couple pages in. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this book? Again, gang war? I don't know.
Well, it's the mayor of the city that it's happening in.
But you're playing the idea where he's MIA. It's funny because they even have at the beginning the real question that's on the news. The real question is, where is Luke Cage? Where's the mayor? He's in City Hall getting attacked.
He's in the mayor's
sentinels.
office getting his butt kicked. Yeah. And he can't fight back because he's a vigilante.
How does that go? You end up where he's the mayor. He gets attacked by sentinels, and he's trying to destroy them. And that cop, this guy just
he's ready to arrest him.
Yeah, he pulls up. Oh, gonna have to arrest you again. No, this isn't this is just war. Screw gang war. Screw this whole Fisk's Law. He is fighting as just a guy who, if he doesn't fight back, he's going to be killed. I don't care if he's Luke Cage or if he's, Dr. Matt here. The guy has to fight back or people are going to die. This isn't quite vigilantism. And so they're going to play it, though. And we're just going to keep going with this play of stand back. if you stop me, people will die. And they're like, okay, like, why even do it then? But yeah, they're like, okay, we got to go do this. Now, if you had this cop show up and immediately said, listen, I'm going to have to do something here, Mr. Cage. You can't be around Cloak. Daggers. Like, those are the plays here. But no, he's like, I'm going to have to arrest you until he doesn't. The guy kind of just disappears a bit. They're there for the standoff. The perspective to me gets thrown off a bit because these things are like, what are they, 50 feet tall?
Oh, yeah.
And they go to punch Luke, but it seems like their hands get real small to punch him or slap him. I know it's Luke Cage again, but give the perspective because that's pretty cool.
His body is smaller than one of their heads when he jumps up there and hits it in the face.
And then it's like slapping him, but then, he jumps up in the air, and when he punches this face, the face seems to get...
And I like that Smythe is talking through him because it's weird to see the robot talking in regular words.
Yeah, and that's what he's yelling, like, hey, we're going to take you down. Hey, Smythe, you didn't hear me. We're going to do this. You have him say some curse words at points. But he says, let's do this, and then whacks the head, but it doesn't really do much. The police start firing because the mayor's like, let's do this, but then these sentinels blow up the cop cars. At one point, even, I'm telling you, I like Rodney Barnes. I don't think he has much to work with. At one point, he just Luke yells, time to put the taxpayer dollars to work, and throws a car at this. I'm like, what?
That? He technically is getting employed by the taxpayers, so
it's weird
working.
That he's saying that almost like that's like the attack, but he's already attacking, and throwing the cop car does it. And they blow it up, and then we have full out. Jessica shows up. You have Danny. They're going to show up and say, hey, why did you tell us there was a fight going on? They're fighting. And then Danny, in the meantime, is like, I think I thought of something. I think I might have something that we could do that wouldn't just be this hand-to-hand.
Yeah, completely out of nowhere, he thinks of this.
Yeah. I'm going to head off right now. You guys
see you later.
I'm going to go back to, Rand Industries. I'll talk to you later. He bails. At that point, also, this is, again, just such a weird deal of things that make me giggle. Smythe decides now it's time to open up all of these containers, shipping containers. They're full of these robots. They're all, just so you have numbers. And they start, marching, and these looters are crapping their pants. Oh, no. Why? They're just there for a paddle and they run away.
What are they carrying out? Gold bricks or something?
Yeah, it looks like cigarettes? They have either. I'm telling you, at one point I thought they had VHS tapes. Like, what are they doing? And also, I love where they're breaking into a place that has a sale. That's 20% off. They're just going in. Who knows? But they end up there and like, oh no, but nothing. These robots aren't. They're not interested. They just go
they're
by.
They're like Ultrons, like kind of
that's
level
what it
stuff.
is. And low rent. Low rent-trons. You end up where then Danny runs off, and he goes and he's like, oh man, I didn't think I'd be able to do this. I have this tech division. Here we go, beep, bop, boop. And you end up seeing we know what it is by the end. But he's looking, and even then, like, all hell is breaking loose. He had to run back to Rand Corporation. He had to go all the way up to the top. Like,
that would take a couple hours to get there,
He's got to do all that. So then he's there as if he's contemplating this. Like, he's there, and he's like in the thinker pose, just hoping to God somebody catches this. It's my Hail Mary. And I'm like, get to it. And then he has to call Luke. So they're fighting. And at this point, swarms of, there's 1 million robots. This looks like Terminator times 8 million. And Luke gets the call. Man, who's calling me in the middle of a fight? He looks, oh, it's Danny. What up, Danny? Oh, what? I have to come visit you? All right, well, we have a fight. Oh, you know that? Okay, I'll be right there. Hey, Jessica, I'll be right back.
I do. I like that she goes, where the hell are you going? We're fighting. Do you just leaving?
She says, where the hell are you going? He says, I have no idea.
Yeah.
He gets in the cop car, and then just, for some reason, this fight is too big to then have the cop say to her, must be tough to keep a marriage going. And then she goes, you don't know the hell. And Luke's gone. And then I'm telling you at this point, there are the giant sentinels shooting lasers at everybody. You have 1 million other little robots just beating the crap out of you. You have poor, Johnny Law here. The one guy's just, they don't know what to do. Jessica at least is going, but everybody's gone. It's like Cloak, Dagger, and Jessica and a couple cops against 1 million robots. while we then go to Rand Corporation to have discussions about R&D, because you end up where he goes, okay, what do we got? Even that, like, at this point, do you need to know where Danny got this thing? Because Luke comes in and wants to know the particulars. Hey, where'd you get this? Excuse me. Danny goes, a tech firm out of Tokyo. They said they could pull off the plan, so I gave him a shot, and it worked. Like, you're already taking too long. Your wife is getting the crap kicked out of her probably at this point, maybe dead, and you're like, I don't know. I wanted him to be like, I don't know. I only trust American. Those Japanese, they got me with my Hyundai I had back in the day. And then they're like, okay, well, let's try it. And then we end like, now, I mean, all hell's breaking loose. And then just to make it that much more goofy, and you could go that it's fun, everybody stops and goes, oh my God, what the hell is that?
Meet the Cagebuster.
It sure is big. And Luke Cage shows up in the Hulkbuster kind of deal, but a big giant Cagebuster, so says.
I got a problem with the name then, because if it's Hulkbuster, you're fighting the Hulk, right? So why you're fighting Luke Cage? So did Danny make this thing to fight him?
He's just calling it that. He's trying to come up with his own deal. I think he's just coming up with his own name, and they're like, that doesn't work. Okay. But here's the other thing about this, okay? Luke Cage is fighting, right? Luke Cage, he's there fighting. Jessica's there. They're married. They're fighting together. They're keeping the backs of each other. Hey, we'll get through. There's no reason Danny needed Luke to come and get this. He could have gotten in this damn thing.
Yeah, because he doesn't even have powers.
No, so why would you have Luke Cage, the most powerful guy in your crew here, take him out of the fight to be Cagebuster when Danny ran off and should have shown up to add into the fight with this? I'm like, why are you doing this?
It doesn't need to be Luke.
No, it shouldn't be Luke. Luke's
Put the cop
one
in
guy
there
who could do things. Yeah, Danny. When Danny says that the hand-to-hand, it ain't working. We got to that to me means that he's saying he's not any bit of. He can't do anything. That's all he's got. Especially because now he's just him with his kung fu deal.
Plus, it's his robot. He developed it. It would probably have like kung fu moves and stuff. Luke Cage doesn't know how to operate this thing.
If you have the team of Jessica, Luke, Cloak, and Dagger, and then you add up, then you're really talking. But you minus your, it's weird. It would be like we're big Eagles fans. It would be like you make this trade where you end up, oh my God, like we're getting all these weird dudes, but we get rid of our best guy. I mean, there's no reason for it.
It's MC Scat Cat, man. It's just, it's...
Again, what is this series here? This little mini tie-in series. We had Steel Suit that nobody can. Now it's Cagebuster. Nobody's going to like this. And the art's okay. Cage, but like you said, that doesn't even work. Cagebuster. You should have, I don't know. I'll think of something like 2 weeks from now. I'm like, oh man, I should have thought of that. Thinking more of like a mayor type thing when he shows up. He could say some crazy thing, but I don't know. Nonsense.
Should be like the Fisk's Law Buster. Just get rid of that. Yeah.
Like, it'd be funny. You say, hey, what is that? Oh, it's the Gang War / Fisk Buster Law thing or majigger. They're like, that doesn't work. Plus, he's got like a no symbol on. I don't even know what that means.
There's no cool decals on or anything. It's just boring.
If you're going to ask me if this mecha robot punches harder than Luke, I don't even know that I could tell you it does.
Yeah, equal with that. Maybe
I
equal.
Think if you ask me what's more agile and what could get around more, I'd say Luke. I mean, you are, pretty much nullifying Luke from your team to get nonsense that should have had Danny. Danny should have come in this, and then it would be funny, where Luke looks up and like, what the hell is that, Danny? He's like, I call it the Cagebuster. And then Luke's like, we're going to have to talk about this later.
There you go.
That sounds like a lot of bullcrap. We'll talk about it. That doesn't make sense. Like something like that.
Yeah.
But no, you have this.
And it's still like a fifth of the size of one of those Sentinels, so it's not even...
He's in there with his suit on. Looks so goofy. But what would you give this?
I'm just another flat 6 on this.
Yeah, I think it's just 5.
I mean...
I can read this.
It had me laughing at some stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I can read this and laugh, but is that great at this point in 3 issues where you realize, I mean, seriously, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Weird science is the revolution.